Hey, this is Kevin Purcell. We are with the Theotek News Podcast, and we are back again after a couple of weeks. Tonight we're joined with the regular crew, and want to introduce everybody for you. Let's get started with Antoine Wright. Antoine, buddy, how you doing tonight?
Doing fine. Finally had, I should have saved my caramel apple empanada for the start. That would have been a really good start to be eating it while we started.
That would have been awesome. Before we actually went on air, he's sitting here, and we were just laughing and having a good old time. All right, Antoine. And then next to him is the urban scholar himself, LaRosa Johnson. How you doing tonight, LaRosa?
Doing pretty good. Been a very busy week at work so far, and it's only Tuesday.
Where do you work, brother?
What was that?
Where do you work? Tell them where you work.
Work at Olive Tree Bible Software, and we just released version 5.9 of our software on iOS, and the support queue has been crazy as a result.
Well, we're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. Next to him is the lovely and talented Wes Allen. How you doing tonight, Wes?
I'm lovely. That's nice. I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm back. This is my first day back from vacation.
All right, vacation from what?
Well, I'm a pastor, so I only work 1 day a week, right? That's the deal. I also am always working, which is very strange the way that works. But yeah, I am back from vacation. Whatever I do, I was away.
If you're a pastor like I am, you only work 1 hour a week, and then when you do, you often work too long, according to the congregation.
I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, now I get it. Yes, yes. You're long-winded is what they're saying.
That's what they say. You know, Antoine, I forgot to ask you, what do you do? Where are you from? What are your cred?
What is my cred? I have no cred in all of this. I'm just
you got
a
the
lowly
vagabond.
vagabond.
Don't you do stuff over there?
I'm just a lowly vagabond who talks about mobile technology and why the church should be the leaders and not the followers. That's all. I run an online magazine called Mobile Ministry Magazine. And occasionally, well, at least occasionally, update that and attend a few conferences. I also work for the logo on my chest for the YMCA of Greater Charlotte, where I get to be a complaint center, an occasional translator of those things techie. And then there's a few dozen other things on the list.
That's right. We all have 1 or 2 jobs. Antoine is so good; he's got like 12 or 15. So, well, let's get started with some of the news.
13 jobs.
13 what?
I got 13 jobs.
Oh, okay. Good.
Oh no.
Let's get started with some of the news here tonight. The Theotek News Podcast. That's what we're about. We talk every other week about what's going on in church technology, Bible tech, worship tech, general tech. And tonight we're going to jump in with some Bible tech. We've got a few updates that seem kind of interesting. The big one from our perspective, since LaRosa works over at Olive Tree, is they just updated their iOS app and kind of rewrote the thing, didn't you?
Yeah, it's almost completely rewritten. We're no longer using the old archaic Palm database files. So we've been.
What does that get you?
Well, I mean, if anybody's familiar with Palm, you know how old Palm is. And so we've been working on that system for quite a few years and essentially running an emulator within our software to do that. And so now we've moved on to more current technology using something that's more HTML friendly. So now we can do a lot more with our text and just make it a whole lot easier to present and do things for our customers. Like we just launched our interlinear Bibles, which was a pleasure to work on and nice to have those out. But yeah, it's pretty much completely rewritten from the ground up.
I saw that little tidbit on your blog. I guess maybe it was yesterday or something, and hadn't really had a chance to play around with that. But when someone just updates Olive Tree for the first time after using the old version, what are they going to see?
Yeah, that's been really the only downside to it right now is that there is an upgrade process to go from the Palm database files to the new, what we're calling OTPub. So basically we're using EPUB files for our content, and then we kind of marked them up with some of our own proprietary stuff. but there's a upgrade process from the one to the other, and it's done on the user's device. So pretty much any notes, highlights, bookmarks, anything like that that they've made, the software has to run in the background to update all of that on a like one-for-one basis for each of those annotations. So that's been the major pain point that we're dealing with right now, is trying to get customers to understand that, because while that's running, the app is unfortunately running really slow because it's trying to do that and then still try to allow you to use the software. And then it's also, we've got users that still have their sync on, so they're still trying to make new annotations and everything. They're trying to sync those to the server while still trying to upgrade the old ones, and it's just a big mess for 85% of our customer base. So we're trying to get everybody sorted out, and thankfully the majority of our users have been patient with us and understand, and they're looking forward to what we have to come in the future. But just a little bit of growing pains right now as far as getting everybody moved over. And then
I can only imagine those phone calls. Imagine if here I am using my Bible software to read the Bible about the Prince of Peace and about forgiveness. It's not working! And so I call LaRosa up and I say, it's not working! And what does that phone call sound like from your end?
God bless you.
Well, I want to know how many pastors started updating their thing like Sunday morning before they went to go preach.
We've had a few of those.
What do you tell them? What's the basic bullet point of here's what you do in order to keep from pulling your hair out, if you have any left?
Really, the main thing is to basically leave the software up and running overnight, turn off the auto lock on your iPad or iPhone, and just leave it sitting there overnight and let it do its thing.
Plug in.
That sounds horrible. Seriously? Really?
It wasn't my plan, but it's what the developers came up with.
Couldn't that have run server side, since everything's stored on the server anyway?
Yeah.
It's not.
LaRosa's getting jumped on. Sorry, bud. We're sorry.
Oh,
well,
no, he was.
The main issue is right now is like we have the only platform that's using this engine right now is iOS. So we've still got all of our Windows, Mac, and Android users that are using the old system. So if we just did a mass upgrade, then all of a sudden your highlights would stop working on Android or.
Well, no. I mean, but your best bet would have been just thinking about this strategically. It would have almost made sense, just thinking that you guys had that move. You were going to do such a move like that because you have to do it in steps. If you guys were able to spend the time to build I would say an export app, an olive tree exporter that would be able to export at least the raw data into a format that can be then transcoded server side so that somebody can go ahead and download the brand new app and then download everything fresh without having to go through that long process of on-device transcoding. I mean, you're asking a lot of your users.
Yeah, but asking your users to transcode, using the word transcode for most users is like that's scary.
It is.
I think the only mistake that was made is they should have put a big, huge thing right when you first opened it up and said, "Look, this is a one-time headache, and it'll be solved after tonight. Don't worry about it."
I don't know. Look.
I'm defending you, brother. I don't think it's that bad.
No such thing as a one-time headache.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I did it. I mean, it took a while, but I mean, I knew it was coming because there was a message about, hey, we're gonna have to do some stuff, and it's gonna download, and just kind of be patient. And I said, okay, fine, I can do that. I don't think that's. I don't know. Maybe I'm. Yeah. I've also used Logos Bible software, which literally takes like all day long just to install.
Yes, to install, download, index, re-index.
Yeah.
Download the update that came out while you were downloading it. So
It sounds like Windows. So
I mean, so So, without throwing away the news part of our discussion, but is there a better way to handle these kind of updates? I mean,
Not if you're like it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been on every possible side of updating software that you can think of, and they all suck. But when we think of a software like a library, it's an index. That's all a library is. It's just a really massive index. And is it smart to make the person that you want to market it, that you want to use it? Is it smart to give them so much of the workload of making sure that this update works? I mean, the techie is going to be okay, but what about the not so techie who's using this software really on a recommendation?
Well, that's why you tell them right at the outset, look, we're sorry, this just has to happen, and just, go hang out with your family for a while, because we're going to be busy with this, and it's only going to be once. And so I don't think it's that bad, but I can see the point. I mean, yeah, it can be.
The fact that it's like an overnight conversion, that's what I think flips it for a lot of people. And so I think part of
how long is it taking La Rosa? Like if someone had a fairly decent-sized library, say 100 books, what do you think? What do you predict would be the length it would take them to download, update, all that stuff?
Well, it's not so much the size of the library, because even with downloading the new books, that part is rather painless, because even with that, we downloaded the most used books for each of the users in the background on the old version of the app, so they already had their most frequently used books. The main problem is upgrading all the annotations, all the highlights, and the notes, and there are some users that have like several thousand highlights, where like I was dealing with one customer this morning that had well over 13,000 highlights.
Wow.
Across their entire library, and something like that realistically is just going to take days, unfortunately, the way we built the upgrade system.
And like they said, all of that was updating on his iPad. You didn't update it on your server. Is that right?
Right, and what it's doing is it's doing it on the iPad one for one with the resource, and then uploading it back up to the server.
Oh, okay. Now
so you're getting double whammied. Yeah,
now I just switched sides. Okay, that was bad.
My whole thing is, and I think part of the problem is you're just dealing with Olive Tree. It runs on so many different platforms all at the same time, and the only way you could make this, from the roses on the inside, to make this a server-side conversion, which is, I think everybody would agree would be the ideal place for it, would be to release every platform at the same time. And when you're dealing with a shop that is as admirable a job that they do, but as limited resources as Olive Tree actually has, where they don't have like 8 teams of 30 coders working on all these different platforms, they chose something that they could do. And
don't you have like 400 people working there? No, I'm kidding.
Maybe a lot of them.
Not in his department.
If you had a new headache, and instead of them just dealing with, let's say they just did it in the background before we ever got here, and then it took them another year, and now they had Windows and Mac and Android and
and you have to maintain all the separate code bases like totally out of sync with one another. And
4 times as many people calling the tech support line, bothering La Rosa. So it probably actually makes sense to do it like one platform at a time. And iOS is your bread and butter, isn't it?
It usually does make sense to do one platform at a time. But then, in the wise of, I mean, we're Monday morning quarterbacking a decision that was made about 12 months ago, 14 months ago. Because that's realistically how long it takes to scope out building an application that's going to do essentially what amounts to a database conversion on device, and then do it error-free.
Mm-hmm.
So 14 months ago, could you have said, okay, we're going to do all of the platforms, and we're only going to upload an index of whatever highlights and all that they did, and then server side, do all the transforming and then push everything back down that way. Sure, you could have, but then you have to ask the question, okay, will we have the server resources? You know, what kind of resources are we looking for? Are all of our potential upgradees going to have the kind of bandwidth necessary to go up and then come down? I think the news was it earlier today? Verizon upgraded a few of their metropolis areas, finally making upload and download speeds equal to each other. Those kind of decisions were hard to make 14 to 18 months ago. Yeah, it's here.
Well, great. Hey, it looks great.
Yeah, I think it's a big improvement as far as just style, but it's a lot more than it's deeper than that. So that's going forward. Sure, maybe it wasn't the way we would have done it, but they did it and it's done. So there's nothing we can change. It's still a positive in the long run, and tell us why that is, LaRosa.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive in the long run for several reasons. And the first reason is because most publishers are sending us EPUB files right now anyway. And so it makes my job as a book formatter a whole lot easier, because all I have to do is take what they've given me and put all of our markup into it and then release it. And right now, also taking into account, like with the PDB files that we were using, there were no tables. Pretty much all tables had to be converted to images, which increases the file size and different things like that. And like what Kevin was just putting up, it allows us to do different things like interlinear Bibles now.
Yeah, let me show this. It'll only show when I'm talking, unfortunately. But, this is one of the nice benefits, is you can now look at this interlinear that's going to show up, the ESV Greek English Interlinear New Testament. And the benefit of that for Bible study, if you don't know the original language, you can still get some original language helps and tools and stuff like that. If you do know it, or here's the great benefit when you're in seminary, if you're currently studying Greek, this is a great way to cheat. I'm kidding about that, but anyway, so here's some of the stuff, the benefit of what you're going to get out of all this big change, right? And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right, LaRosa?
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That was just one of those things that was more or less a proof of concept, where it's like, okay, we're putting out this update. What's something that we can do that's easy, that we already have the data sets for, that we can push out and really make the software shine and have it be something that our customers have been asking for a while anyway? Because just about every other Bible software has interlinear Bibles, but just because of the limitations of the platform we were using before, it just wasn't possible. So now we have the ability to do it, which is really nice.
Yeah, cool.
LaRosa, is this going to extend, like the EPUB use going to extend to what you can do in like user notes? Like, is there the possibility of getting into like being able to use like maybe Markdown in my user notes and highlighting stuff real simply, please?
Yeah, I think that's the eventual plan, is to allow more flexibility and have like a true editor, like with HTML markup, where you can do like bolding and outlines, especially for those that are preachers that use our software and they use the notes as their sermon outline for preaching. So we want to be able to give them the functionality to be able to do more with that. So that'll come down the road, but not in scope for like the immediate future, but definitely something that we do have planned.
Well, looking forward to it. And the update, I can just say for folks, if you've been through the conversion process, I was using it today to plan out my sermon map for the year, and the search speed is as fast as I've ever seen in Olive Tree. I mean, it really is just amazing to do like searches in Olive Tree now. It's really cool. So you guys did a great job with that.
Yeah, welcome to the 21st century, Olive Tree. That's awesome.
Man, people are just like yelling at you tonight. Man,
that sounded really bad. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. No, I mean, that's a big, huge jump. I'm
throwing a nice comment out.
What's that?
I said, I'm throwing a nice comment out, and you're just digging it right in there. It's good.
Well, they were using 20th century technology. That what is it, PBD?
Actually, no. PDB format was actually a derivative of what the STEP format and the eSword format got some of their foundations from. It was actually kind of neat. The PDB Bible format, really, really foundational stuff. It's a sad, sad day.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was bad stuff. I'm just saying it was introduced in the 20th century.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like in
Well,
the
so was the
19th
internet.
Yeah.
So was email.
I don't know. I'm just happy to get off a proprietary format. Give me my EPUB and I'm good.
All right.
So-
Nay, PDB was open, not proprietary. No.
Well, let me look
Was it
at
open?
something else
Okay.
here.
Yeah, it
Let's
is
move
open.
forward and go. I want to talk about something. Pocket Bible hasn't garnered as many fans or users, I think, in this mobile era as it used to. Used to be that was kind of back in the days of Pocket PC and Palm. There was as far as I want to say this right, so I'm not insulting to anybody. As far as software that was sold in stores and bought for purchase, wasn't it pretty much Pocket Bible and Olive Tree Bible Reader? Now there were some open source and free things as well, but I'm excited because I have a sort of a soft spot in my heart for Pocket Bible, and they're getting ready to come out with a Mac version. I'm a Kickstarter backer of this, and finally this week we were given the opportunity to download it. I have been told that I cannot show it to you, so therefore I won't share my screen and show it to you. But Craig Reardon, I contacted him and just said, hey, do you mind if I let people know that it's coming? And he said, of course, go right ahead. But one of the things that's going to be I think it's going to be a nice program for those of you who used to use Pocket Bible on your Palm or on your Pocket PC back in the day, and you owned a bunch of books, but now you're running a Mac and you can't use it. You will be able to very soon. And the version that I'm using is actually pretty good, pretty stable. And so I'm glad to see that that's up and running. So be looking for that pretty soon. Did any of you guys ever use Pocket Bible?
Not since I had Pocket PC.
You used it on a Pocket PC?
Not since I've had a Pocket PC. It's been a
when
while.
was that? What year was that?
When was the last time I had a Pocket PC in my hands? 2005, 6.
Okay, so
yeah, it's been a while. Oh, it's been a while.
All right.
It's definitely been a while. I've always been.
I was always Olive Tree.
Great work.
Well, I got both, and I liked them both, and I owned books in both. But Pocket PC, the reason I had such a soft spot in my heart is because my very first ever Bible software was QuickVerse, which was created by Craig Reardon. And over at Christian Computing Magazine a few years ago, we created the Christian Computing Magazine Hall of Fame. And Steve Hewitt, our editor, had big dreams of that becoming some big deal, and it kind of fizzled, I think, a little bit. But Craig was one of our early inductees into the Hall of Fame because he's been doing Bible tech for longer than most of us have been using Bible tech. But
oh yes,
I think I've told this story about searching for the word grace in the first version of Pocket PC, of QuickVerse, and you had a stack of 6 floppy disks, and you had to pull one out of the drive and put the next one in order for it to continue the search, and then pull it out and put it in. So you were talking about the speed of the search in Olive Tree. All you youngsters out there, be thankful you got what you got now, because in those days it was pretty ugly. But I thought it was awesome. I thought this was the greatest thing in the world. I can search every word in the Bible for and it only takes 15 minutes.
That's back when some guy's sitting there with this 400-pound concordance going, I can do this faster than you. This goes through the whole thing.
Yeah, but he couldn't. He definitely could not. 'Cause it would take him all day to look up all the words of grace. It took me only 10 minutes. Every instance of grace in the entire Bible in just 10 minutes. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think, Kevin, the big news for this is I'm looking at their Kickstarter page. Their goal was 28,500, and they actually broke almost $38,000 in donations for that Mac version. I think that's fantastic that they did that on Kickstarter.
Well, I gave him 26,000, and so that's why. No,
that's just all you. Okay,
I gave one of the low-level. Yeah, you're right. It was a nice thing. They did they did one of those reach goals once they got close to the barrier to help them. You know how Kickstarter works. You get about a few $1,000s within your goal, and there's only a few days left, and so they say, all right, we need to figure out a way to push this over, and so the people who've already backed it will go back and put a little money towards it. And I honestly can't remember what it is extra I'm getting because I did that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I don't know if it'll end up making its way into my regular rotation of Bible software, but I know this. I don't have a lot of money, but I've got a little bit, and I can give it to folks. And I think it's good when there's good, solid, quality Bible software from lots of different sources, because it, a rising tide. What is the phrase? A rising tide rises all boats, or something.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Bible software being more cross-platform too, because for so long, most of the Bible software has only been on either just Windows, just Mac, or just Apple, or just Android. So it's nice to see more companies starting to focus on every platform.
Yeah, I mean, even Accordance is on Windows now.
Yeah, that's actually, I actually forgot that was the case when we were talking about it. Speaking of Accordance, let's jump over there. Accordance has a new update. Has just a few little things in it, but some of the cool stuff that they've added is now if you put a link on a website, you can format your link for universal resource identifiers. Anyway, so that means I can click a link, and if I have Accordance installed in my Windows or Mac computer, it'll open up my software and go right to it, which is kind of neat. I like that. And then it sounds like, as someone said, they're getting ready for Yosemite in some of their things and using services, which is going to be a thing that allows their program to work with other software installed. Even though that company doesn't even know who Accordance is, they can still make it interoperate between one another. So, do any of you guys use Accordance much?
That's what sorry, Lewis, that's what I use all the time. But yeah, that's my main software.
Is that your number one, Wes?
It really is. I mean, that's what I use. Although when I'm on iOS, I tend to go more towards Olive Tree. But when I'm on my MacBook, I'm using Accordance. So I haven't used any of the new features yet, though. They look really interesting.
Why is that?
Well, for me, part of the cool thing is to be able to export these out or create the URIs just as links, and to put them in for my personal study in external files, like in a markdown file. I can just set it up as a link, and it'll just display this is what it is. But if I click it, I'll get into Accordance, and it'll open up right locally. What to me it will really set the deal is when these start working on iOS as well as on Mac and Windows, because I'm doing much more of my writing on my iPad and on my iPhone than I am on my desktop. So the URIs would be interesting there to be able to quickly switch back and forth between apps. And I think, I had said when you said they were using services, I had said they were getting ready for Yosemite, and I'm starting to wonder maybe if they're really just getting ready for iOS 8. Because the services framework almost sounds like the way that iOS is going to handle the apps interacting inside iOS 8 when they come out with that version.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And I think that would really make sense. I think that would be really cool to suddenly be able to, you have these tools and you just click it and you access it in any app that you're at to go through, and that type of interface. That would be really cool. So I haven't played with it yet, but I'm looking forward to see what they're doing.
All right, cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on from that. We've spent a lot of time on Bible Tech tonight. There was something that you kind of gave a look at, Wes, that was interesting, this Givelify. And I think Antoine, you might have clued in some folks into that as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, what Givelify is?
Sure. One of the untapped areas of mobile in churches has definitely been the idea of using your mobile phone as a place to give your offering or your tithe through. And while some churches, larger churches, have done well with maybe doing an iPad with Square, or having their own e-commerce platform where you can email in your payment or log into a website and do a payment. For all intent and purposes, e-commerce and churches don't really get along so well. Churches don't really do that facility really well. A couple of guys out of Indianapolis, Indiana, created Giveify, which they started actually as an Android application, and which was impressive in and of itself, to basically be a giving kiosk right from your mobile phone. So there's no need for even your church to even set up a profile in Giveify. It actually uses your geolocation features of your mobile phone to figure out where you want to send your donation to. You identify an address that you wanted to go to. You put in the church's information if it's not already in their database. You set how you want to give, however much you want to give, and whether you're paying with a credit card, a credit debit card, and then boom, you give your gift. And then within 7 to 10 business days, that church receives a check from Giveify saying that you gave this gift. It's all tax deductible. You can see your gifts over time. You can give your gift to any church. You don't have to be present in the church to do so. You don't even have to remember the church's website. You just have to know the name of the church and roughly where it's located in a city. And I really mean roughly. Charlotte has 1,800 churches for such a little city. And you'd be surprised how many First Baptists you run into. It's really neat to be able to give as you need. I believe the web end of their service is up. I did do a review of it last year about this time, as I got the chance to talk to one of the founders at ICCM. It's a really good idea, and you know, for those churches that have maybe tried and failed with e-commerce or e-giving, or have kiosks that get really no traction at all, Giveify, it's really hard to say that will not work. It's hard to say that it won't. There is a trust factor there, but it's very hard to say that it won't work.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like actually the link in the company kind of came up as Antoine and I were talking last week, because I was sitting down writing a check for my tithes, and I was like, you know what? The only reason I still have a checkbook right now is because I have to write a check for my tithes for church.
I know, right?
And so I was like, you know what? I just need to email the pastors and be like, why not just set up a PayPal account? And then Antoine pointed me to that, and I was like, you know what? Let me give this a try. They don't even have to set up anything on their end, and I can just use my phone to pay my tithes.
And I was telling Kevin right before we went on air, Antoine, I looked at this through the Evernote link, and I've looked at online giving because you know that I am really into this, and I cannot stand carrying cash and doing that. And I'm always going out to big denominational events, and they've got now we're going to have the offering. I'm going, I haven't carried cash since 2002. So they pass, you're passing the thing off. And I looked at the service, the fees for it, and I went, it's almost Eventbrite-like.
Yes.
In the way that the fees are, so they're not overpowering.
How much is it?
Scroll down. It should be in, if you hit the 4 churches thing on the link.
Plus 30 cents.
Yeah.
2.9% of whatever you're giving plus 30 cents.
So I looked at it. I said for like $50, it would basically be $2. Is what it comes out to.
Does the church know that you've eaten that much out of your gift, or does they just get a check for $48?
For 48.
Yeah, just get the check for 48 because you're announcing the fees to the person, not the church.
Right.
But the people will still get credit for the $50 donation, right? Not that I hate that whole part of it, but
I think the way it's set up is the fee if the church has it set up.
Okay. But
again, say that this is important to me. I think, and I'm someone. I saw the link. I thought that's cool. I throw it in there, but I didn't take even a look at it. So, if you can make me understand it, then our audience will be able to understand it. Hopefully, I'm sort of at the low end here of understanding. So what you're saying is, let's say I just today, right now, I say I want to start this thing up. I want to, download this app, and I want to send my church $100. Can I do this tonight, right now, if I wanted to?
It'll take you all of 15 minutes at the very most, 5 at the very shortest.
And so if I give LaFi $100, my church is going to get
$100
in 7 to 10 business days.
The church is going to get $100, but they're going to charge. But GiveLify is going to charge me $100 plus some money, or not?
No. The only person that gets charged any money is if the church sets up their own account, and that's so that they don't have to receive the checks in like 7 to 10 days.
Oh, really?
If they want the money immediately, kind of just wire transfer to their account. That's where the fees come in.
That's even better. So the church, if the church doesn't mind waiting for the money, it's almost better for them not to set up an account.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's called gaming the system.
I'm okay waiting 7 to 10 business days. Here, go here.
Or, well, if your books are good, you don't have to wait. The hurdle that I've run into is that part there. Explaining it. Is the founders and I, we went back and forth trying to figure out how to make it simple a year ago. But the bigger challenge is literally the behavior of giving, as many of our churches do.
Mm-hmm.
We do not. We observe giving in a very Exodus Levitical mindset. Come to the altar, come to the king, to the priest with your gift and get account for it. We don't do giving in the Matthew 6 mindset. Let your gift be done in private so your Father will reward you openly kind of space. And it's GiveLify is more like a Matthew 6 than it is a Leviticus 20 through 27 kind of feel. And it's a very big culture shift, more so than e-giving is. And so when you say our parishioners only have to just give from tapping a few buttons on their phone and then the giving portion of our service is over, it thoroughly scares the crap out of folks. Because they're like, well, how do we know they're giving? Because they're not getting up and dropping something in a basket or doing the processional or showing off what they wore today while we play some really fancy music. That culture part of giving is GiveLify's. That's what they're having trouble breaking. Not so much that it's easy to give, because that part's easy. It's a transfer at the end of the day.
Well, and I think the part of the transfer is splitting the difference in the theology of why we do the offering and worship, which we need to get back to, and the theology of giving and supporting kind of our local congregation as part of our ministry. There's a place, and everything you said about the showing off our fancy dresses and playing the cool music, which is all parts of the offering I can't stand. But there is but it's an interesting opportunity if the financial aspect of giving has been taken out of that offering. But the theological need for that part of the liturgy, and I'm a Baptist talking about the word liturgy, but I'm weird. But that part of the liturgy is still necessary to come and bring something to the altar. Well, now what's our offering going to be? What can we offer there instead of our money? And I think that's kind of an interesting opportunity to change that part of worship entirely. So when you talk about culture change, I mean, you're talking like an explosive culture change, because when it's that whole attitude of the older sense of church of being like, well, I give so much money and therefore I'm a good giver and you all have to do what I can do, and I show that by giving my offering envelope every week. That if that goes away, now all of a sudden all you have to do, what do you have to offer God during the offering? Well, I have to offer my gifts, who I am as a broken human being, my life. I'm going to offer this to you, Lord. Take something with my mess, or take actually in church it'd be take something with our mess, and do something good with it. So you're changing the whole nature of that part of worship. So for me, that's kind of exciting.
Sacrifice of praise, as the song goes. I mean,
isn't that an interesting concept?
That's really what it ought to be. Now, I showed up. people may not have seen it very well, but I pulled out my little tablet here, and the Android App Store, it says your device isn't compatible with that version. You see, if anybody who's an Android user, you recognize that dastardly
It's
black
phone
box.
only.
It's
It's
phone.
phone
It is phone. It is phone only because it is designed to A, use GPS, and B, to be online right then and right there. So, well.
So is that their end? They're designing it that way because that's a stupid thing to do.
No,
No, because it's using GPS to find the giver.
No.
My church has Wi-Fi. There's absolutely no reason why that phone app should not be able to run on that tablet.
Well, let me throw something out to you there, Kevin. I know of too many churches that have Wi-Fi, and I know less than 10% of them that actually open it up publicly. You know,
yeah, but,
so it's a very. Oh wow, my hand was really big right there.
Yeah. But why limit it? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. In my opinion, this is more of a business end of the stake than Olive Tree not fixing the transcoding. This is, you look at it because there's no way to get beyond that if all you own is a tablet. And I know people, they don't own a smartphone in my church, but they've got a tablet, and so why not open it?
Well, my Nexus has GPS. It just doesn't have.
You may not be able to. And I'll have to go. I'll have to go poke their founders again now that I'm talking about them again. They won't mind this. They really won't, because I last talked to them about 8 months ago. I don't think there's a problem with restricting an app like this right now to a cellular connected audience. I think it makes a lot of sense to right now. I don't think that as a future platform you make the correct point. If my church has Wi-Fi, we should be able to distribute this app through our church, and all of our members who have tablets and as close as possible compatible devices should be able to download and install this from our router, from home, and be able to do giving that way. I agree. Is Giveify ready for that? I don't know. This is the third major piece of good positive feedback that I've heard from them since first hearing about them. And I still don't know if they're ready for that large of a want, even though they definitely feel the need, and they feel it a lot better than other apps and services have done by a country mile.
Well, that may be. I'm looking for a tool that I will now recommend that allows you to take an app that you've installed on your phone and send it over to your tablet, whether they like it or not. I know it's probably not legal or probably not good, but as long as you're not giving it to your cousin Billy or your neighbor next door, and you just put it on your own device, I don't have a single problem whatsoever.
Let me go ahead and reach out to them and find out what they would prefer, because I don't think they would mind more users. I don't think any development shop who's doing a service like this, because this is really it's a service more than it's an app. I don't think that they would mind that kind of generic giving away of their app if it means that there's going to be more money pushed through their service layer. I don't really think they're going to mind that at all. I know they're going to be wary of any support issues and how to answer and how they will go about answering that. And that's going to be what they're hearing. How do we support the devices we couldn't test?
Well, I think this is, first of all, this is cool. So that one little complaint that it doesn't run on this tablet, that's a minor thing, to be honest with you. So I'm going to download this thing and I'm going to give it a try. I'm not going to give a whole bunch through it. I want to make sure it works first. But
it works.
So I'm downloading it now, or I'm trying to set up a thing right now.
It works. And
you sent money through it just this week, right?
Well, I'm going to this week.
You're going to this week.
Oh yeah, it works.
It's fine. You've sent money through it in the past.
Oh yeah, it works.
No problem
I
whatsoever.
was early tester. They're fine. The
All
church
right.
the church got the check in 2 weeks, and they were shocked. But I don't know many churches that turn down a check either. So
I bet they cashed it.
Unfortunately. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Antoine,
go ahead.
Can I just ask, like, do they have churches that are set up to do the next day deposits? Like, are they? I hate to just put this into business model, but if you're going to trust the service, is there cash flow working?
I will ask them. I will go ahead and ask them all of those beautiful questions and get some answers.
Kevin, if you want to ever do interviews, that might be a good interview to do.
That'll be one.
If you want to set that up, Antoine, bring them on. We'll be happy to talk to them.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
See? Live. They've got me on live saying this. And I'm pointing at the camera doing this because Kevin's got me live saying this. Meaning I should not be busy next week. I should not be so busy that I forget this.
Well, let's look at this next thing. I found this list of the top church tech blogs as according to Church Mag. And
hey, Kevin, you're on there.
Am I?
I don't know. I know I'm not.
I don't think
never
so.
on that list.
I don't see it anywhere. But anyway, look at it here. We've got Church Mag. They put themselves #1. How self-serving is that? That's great. And then Church Marketing Bleeps, for those of you who don't like that word. Justin Wise, I don't even know what that is. Have you guys ever heard of that one?
Yeah, he's a great dude out of the Chesapeake, Virginia area. Extremely cool and extremely good mind around missions and social.
All right. And then we got Church Stage Design Ideas. Again, I've not heard of that. Mm-hmm. Church Tech Today, I've written for them, so I do know something about that.
Yeah, we need to get Lauren out here as well. We need to get her on as a guest.
Well, I actually invited her to come, and she gracefully said that she'd rather not right now. So.
I'm gonna get her.
So if that'd be great. I'm not going to go and read all of these, but I'm just picking out some of these that maybe I don't know. I feel like I'm out of touch because I don't know most of the votive praise. I've been to that one. Social Media Church, I've seen that. Anyway, can you guys see this list? And is there one that's on here that stands out to you as saying, yeah, that should be on that list?
I am so out of touch.
I have been to Church Mag and Church Marketing Sucks, and that's basically it.
Oh, I've been to most of that, so I'm a weird fella, and I know most of the people on most of that list.
Okay.
We will not comment on you being a weird fellow, other than to point out that you said it.
Hey, it's what's really interesting about that list and the church blogging community is that there's a lot of there's a lot that's talked about. Unfortunately or fortunately, many of the sites that made that list years before were very similar sounding sites. I think now it's a little more diverse than it used to be. A lot more diverse than it used to be. You get a lot more. You don't see on that list, and it's just the way the metrics and how CMS is doing that. Is you don't get some of the non-English conversation that's happening about the church. You miss a whole lot of the missions conversations. Any of the niche tech sites, I'll use Mobile Ministry Magazine for example. Sites that are too niche even for the Christian space, they wouldn't show up in a list like that. You need sites that have a little wider range to it or have a specific social or theological focus to them. And then that list also really relies on having a decent social media presence. So, it's not enough to have a website and a blog. You got to be on Google+, you got to be on Twitter, you got to be on Facebook, and public enough in all of those necessary spaces so that you can at least be, in the case of that list, be found and analyzed. And a ministry's or a ministry effort or a parachurch's decision in that wise, really would determine whether they show up on a list like that. Mobile Ministry Magazine will probably never show up on that list, because I'm on Twitter and Pinterest. And
You're on Google Plus.
You know?
You're on Google Plus, aren't you?
Just barely. Not enough of any significance.
Along with 14 other people.
Well, let me share with you a tech blog that I believe the next time they do this will be second, because of course that magazine's going to put themselves first all the time. And that's this one right here.
Theotek. I think Theotek could definitely be a site there, but you know, the church IT group used to be on that list back when they were a little bit further out. Jeff Walton used to be out on that list when he did some items. So you know, church tech or faith tech sites can definitely fall up that list, but it's in terms of social media strategy, in terms of online strategy, you really have to plan to be everywhere and spread your oats correctly. You know, John Dyer, who's Don't Eat the Fruit, always.
I love John.
John doesn't do a whole lot anywhere, but when he writes well. When he has a media effort, he hits all of the correct social media pieces and then engages them accordingly. So, that allows him to show up in a list like that judges for those things.
And I think Antoine, go ahead.
You sort of missed the segue there. No, I appreciate it. What you had to say was excellent. You had some good content there. I don't mean that the way that sounded. I'm sounding really mean tonight, aren't I? But anyway, I
made fun of your Bart Star icon in the background.
That's right. Bart, he's making me very aggressive. Theotek.com, as you can see on the screen now, it's in its fledgling. We don't have much on here. I've just gotten it going. But we're hoping to have in the future, if you're watching us now, we're hoping to have things like a website, a Google Plus page, a Twitter feed, and Facebook, and all of those kinds of things. And so don't go running there yet. You won't see anything. But we want to get that on your...
go there. Make us.
And then also we've got Google Plus. If you want to follow us on Google Plus, none of these guys have followed us because I just set it up within the last hour. But we're gonna have a Theotek on Google Plus. The way they have it set up, it's hard to do these things the way you want them to. And so let me go down here.
You should have set up the YouTube channel first.
Should have? Why is that?
Because once you have a YouTube channel, then you can set up a Google Plus page for it.
You can't go the other way?
You can, but it's just easier if you just want it just for something like that.
Okay. Because my plan was that we would eventually be moving this Hangout over to that page because, when people come, they don't necessarily want to see all my personal stuff and my kid kicking the ball halfway down the...
I enjoyed that shot in front of your home.
You enjoyed it? Good.
He geotagged it.
You and my family, and that was about it. All right.
What does he do? He took a
picture
of us.
What are you doing there, Antoine?
I don't know.
Taking a picture of us?
That was a really
all right. Well, let's move on to Pick. Who's got something they want to share with us? And
I told you I wanted to.
Goodbye, folks.
I told you I wanted to do OpenLP. Can I do that quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
There we go. I think we need a showrunner. Darn, we're like bumping into each other. You had put out, Kevin. You put out. I guess it was last week or the week before. It might have been when I was on vacation from my job that nobody knows what I do. But it was a list of worship software to use for presentations, and one of them, the items on there, was one that I've used for years, which is OpenLP.org, which is a really fantastic piece of software, and it kind of got panned in the article. It's like a little blurb, like, if you want to have it break on you in the middle of worship, use this, which I was like, I've never seen OpenLP crash, and I've been using it for as long as I can remember. Like, I went from using OpenOffice.org in Press, because I'm a glutton for punishment, and went to OpenLP, and I've been using it since their 1.0 days, back when they were like a really rudimentary system. My church has used it from 2005 or so all the way up until now. And
what does it do?
It's open lyric projection. That's its primary thing. It'll also do.
Imagine I've never heard of such a thing. What's that?
Well, here's the wonderful thing. If you have a list of songs, say that you want to be able to sing, and you want to project the lyrics onto a screen for someone to see, a lot of what happens, particularly in smaller churches where they don't have a lot of tech-savvy people, is they'll just run PowerPoint and they'll run the screen mirrored, and they'll have you can see the list of slides on the one side, and they'll just click the slide, and they can see that everybody's seeing everything that's going on. And then some more savvy people will be able to run the PowerPoints, and they'll just run the thing on their computer, and the people see different things on the screen. OpenLP and other worship presentation software like it, they change that dynamic to where you're not doing the formatting of the lyrics. All you're doing is the structuring of the lyrics, which I'm a big fan of. That's the way I write and everything. So it's good structure. So you're breaking the lyrics into verses and choruses and bridges and that sort of thing. And then what you do is you just apply a theme to it. And when you say live, you can see all the different. I'm pulling an Antoine. I'm blocking the camera. You can see all the different slides that you set up, or the different segments of the song that you set up on the screen, that the controller, and then the projector projects just what the congregation needs to say. It's really a neat piece of software. I find it really fast. It runs on Linux, Windows, and Mac, which is really kind of cool. There's an Android app that you can actually control the whole service from your Android device. There's actually a web interface that you can control it from an iOS device, which I sometimes do to freak out the people who are running it during worship. It's a lot of fun. You change the song on them, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" And I have a very strange congregation; they're used to it. But it's just really kind of neat, and it does lyrics really, really well. You can import Bibles from Bible Gateway. It does open song Bible format. You can import into it. You can do individual songs and alerts. What's that?
What translations can I get? Can I get the Holman Christian Standard or the English Standard or NIV?
What do I have right now? I have NRSV and NIV on it.
Okay.
And I am a little weird with that. I actually like formatting my scripture, so I actually do that in Keynote. But like when I'm away or when I have a guest preacher come in, we'll throw the scripture up through that. It's really easy.
I need that stuff, and so that would be a deal breaker. If I preach out of Holman, that's what most of my people do, and then I reference the King James because that's the other half, and so.
Is Holman on Bible Gateway?
I think it is.
Then you'd probably be able to get it. See, I've never used Holman, so I couldn't tell you. So we'd have to play around with that. But the service itself, the software itself, is really nice. It's really quick. What I like is some of the bigger software platforms that you use for worship, you can actually do a tri-screen setup to where you have controller, congregation, and then stage view for the band. And actually, OpenLP does that through a web interface, which is really kind of neat. So it just goes to a web page and it's just the lyrics, and when the verse changes or the bridge goes to a different bridge, it automatically updates. So it's a live update.
Have you ever used like Media Shout or Proclaim? Or
No, I never have because I'm priced out of it. I mean,
Okay.
that really is. I don't have $200, $300, $400 to go throw out on a piece of software.
Rosa or Antoine, have either of you used this and one of those others that I just mentioned?
Live worship.
We just switched from using Media Shout, and we're now using Proclaim at my church.
Yeah, it was live worship, I think, was the last one I used.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I'm using Media Shout. Our church is on Media Shout, and I also bought their PowerPoint thing so that I can create PowerPoint stuff for my Wednesday night.
Right.
It's called Media Shout Bridge, and it's got this draconian, licensing garbage in it. I hate that stuff. And my problem is I'm having to keep contacting them because I keep, tweaking my stuff and I mess it up. And so Windows 8.1 is so nice. It just, you blast it away and it all goes back to day one, real fast and simple. And I'm a geek. Okay, that's
right.
Some people watch TV or play golf. I reformat my hard drive. All right.
But that's the nice thing about OpenLP is that there's some people who have had some technical glitches, and I've occasionally come into it. But it's this really unique existence as an open source software project that just works.
Okay.
And I cut my teeth editing images on the GIMP, so I understand the power of open source. But to have something that just works, like you sit down and you can teach someone how to use it in about 30 seconds, it's really kind of neat. So I just have folks in my congregation who are not super great, and I think media shout would overwhelm them. OpenLP, they sit down, they create the songs, they apply the themes, they have gone so far as to create themes, and even set up slides for use during worship, and now they're starting to work with the markup to change the colors and the fonts and the bolds and everything. And the fact that it just works is really neat. And the fact that it's free. So for a church like mine, to where we're priced out of all these other things, to get that power for nothing is really kind of neat. And of course, I try to be a good open source participant, so I try to go back and help do some technical support and file bug reports and work with people to support stuff when I encounter it. And I've become kind of friendly with the lead developer who's based out of South Africa, so it's kind of neat to get a worldwide team for that too. So
all right, so that's at openlp.org. So thanks. That's pretty cool. All right, LaRosa, you've got one that you sent me a link to here about the .church domain, a video on YouTube about someone talking about that. We're not going to do the audio. We'll show this video, but you guys can search for this and learn about this .church domain. Tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, basically, there are all these new domain names that are going to be available now, because you've got new top-level domains that are going to be made available, and one of those is .church. And what the video is talking about is really just going in and letting you know about all the important dates. And this is mainly for churches right now. Like, any church that has a trademarked name can sign up for their domain name during the early sunrise period, which started just a couple of weeks ago now, on July 8th. And so basically something like Saddleback Church can go in and register ahead of time, saddlebackchurch.church. And I'm not sure what all the technical details are right now, but I think it's like whatever your trademark name is, .church. And then after that, that's when kind of the open early access period opens up, and then from there is the actual public launch where anybody can go in and register a .church domain. So
now you're saying that I have to have it registered, trademarked, like with the trademark office in Washington kind of thing?
Yes, for the early bird right now, to secure your name, so that nobody else takes your church name, .church domain.
They don't want cyber squatters.
Yeah.
But for someone like us, like a little church like you were talking about, we're out of luck, right?
For the time being, just for like the early process, but any church will still be able to get it once the public access is available.
This might actually get me to be able to change my church's name.
How's that?
We're the Smith or we're not the Smith. We're the Jones of Baptist churches. We're Central Baptist Church.
There you go. Yeah.
Smith is first, so there's like only 4 billion. I've met people who thought that First Baptist Church is actually a denomination. So if you want to have this kind of unique identity with this new top level domain, I think it's guys, let's reach out on this and change the name of the church.
Well,
yay!
I want to throw out the word of caution. So there's I want to say 2 years ago, but it was probably 4. God, I've been at this Christ in technology thing a long time. Some years ago, when this was being talked about amongst mission organizations that work in some very quiet countries, they were very afraid of this, not only as a means of being identified as a church, but then also later being used against them when countries would begin to turn off respective domains so that people can access them. So, you know, I would say that this is a really good thing for traffic. You know, it makes too much sense to be .church, if especially if your brand, if your community, if your region knows you as the church, you know, that just makes way too much sense. But you also want to understand that that also may compromise efforts to, that may compromise some efforts that you may have in countries that don't like us so much. That may compromise some of the people that you have on the ground, whether or not they're associated with you directly or not, but that may compromise them. You know, a faith comes by hearing, you know, may not really mind having a .church or being associated with them in the States, but they can't work as faith comes by hearing in Iraq when they know that you're associated with .church here. That kind of blows up that association blows up their ability to do good work. So
Antoine, that's a great point.
Something to also think about, you know, in that.
I think that's a great point that you make, and that is,
I mean,
it's easy to just turn it off. Anybody who wants to can just, you know, .church is gone. For example, if I want to, I can easily turn off the .xxx, you know, and I do. Now that doesn't help because most of those guys are smart enough to not only put their stuff on .xxx. And so I think the church needs to do the same, is not only put themselves on .church, because it's going to be a long time before people really think of this. Plus this issue of, you know, what happens if they start just, you know, high peak .church? Well, all the .church are gone, and then suddenly my website is, you know, maybe everybody on I Hate God ISP doesn't get access to it. So, but here you see right here in the middle of this page, mentioned early access program is the 10th of September, 2014 to the 16th, and then general availability is September 17th. So what you guys need to do is you need to get one of these right here and say, okay, Google, hang on just a second, I'll do this so that you can actually see me. All right, here we go. Okay, Google, remind me to set up my .church domain.
I don't want to watch that does that.
Yeah, there we go, right?
I don't want to do that.
Well, see, the problem is he's got to charge the battery in 5 minutes, so that doesn't really work.
37% after a day's use. You're right. I charge my phone every night. I charge my tablet every night. I charge my laptop every night.
Is that a Gear or is that an Android Wear?
This is a Samsung Android. This is the Samsung Gear Live. It's an Android Wear watch if you're an Android user.
So it's an Android Wear, so you don't need to be using a Samsung phone to be able to use it.
There are currently
two available:
the LG G Watch and the Gear Live. They're getting ready to do.
Wait, hold that up. Hold that up.
Yeah, here we go.
You know, I mean, that looks like that's bigger than the thing Dick Tracy used to have on his arm.
That's what makes it awesome.
Much.
Look, I own this geek. I'm not.
It needs to be this size. They need to be no bigger than this.
Well,
that's what they need to be as large as.
Look, you skinny guys can't wear.
And I have normal people. I have girly wrists.
I
have girly wrists. They need to look like this.
Hold up your Pebble, DeRosa. Hold it up. There you go. I want that.
Keep it there, brother. There's this Pebble.
I want the Pebble. I like the Pebble. The e-ink screen I want.
We're gonna have to get you a Pebble, Wes. All right, we'll have to work that out.
Android Wear with an e-ink display, and I'd be happy.
What'd you say? An Android Wear with the ink?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could buy that. The battery.
Discussion through Google Plus, LaRosa and I, and using one, you're right. If you put it on the wrong watch face, you can't see it in the daylight. First of all, this pasty white skin doesn't need to be in the daylight very often. Second of all,
put a watch face, and who shipped a device with a watch face that you can't read in the daylight?
Samsung.
That designer.
Samsung, LG, Motorola, Sony. Let's see, who else has these now? There's lots of folks. You're right. That's an issue, and they need to figure out a way to fix that. But like I said, my pasty white skin can't handle the daylight for more than about 5 minutes without bubbling up on my forehead. So I like my watch, all right, and you're not going to take it away from me. I actually had the Gear 2, which is the Samsung only version, and that's
the one Santa was taking the side pictures of the elves.
Yeah, and that's the one that I bought it and then I returned it.
Okay.
I sold a whole bunch of junk on eBay and had a bunch of money in my PayPal account, and I make sure that I don't have to use that for good stuff that really makes sense, and so I go and waste it on junk like this. But anyway, I returned it and bought this one instead when they announced it, and I'm actually happy I did it. It's cheaper, $200 instead of $300. This is the cheapest of the two that are available now. But I wanted to show it to you.
I want to see the round one.
Purely a luxury. That's what everybody says. Why that? Why the round one?
It looks like a watch.
You never seen a square watch before?
No, to me it looks like you get that metaphor. There's something intrinsically tactical about a watch. It's one reason why I basically don't wear a watch, because I sometimes just feel like my wrist gets too heavy. But if I'm going to wear one, I want to wear one that feels like I'm wearing something that's engineered to be a watch. Something that's like high end, like for the Pebble, I'm okay going to that type of aesthetic. But if I want to be looking at it all the time and all the things that the Android Wear can do, to me it would feel really cool to have that round screen. It feels more engineered. Is what when you just glance at it. That's the image that I get. That just looks like someone took a screen and threw it on something and attached it. The round one looks like it was actually designed.
LaRosa, put yours back up again. A, B. Sort of show the sides like I just did. There you go.
Here, wait. He's going to talk. LaRosa, say something. So you go to the big screen.
Here you go. So it's a little bit smaller on the side.
Yeah, it's a little smaller on the side.
And then
it's not as wide.
A little bit smaller too.
Look, I've owned both, and they don't feel at all different. Wearing it, you can't tell.
You don't tell the difference at all.
The only difference, in my opinion, between the two, I've owned both. I sold the Pebble on eBay. The only difference is this one I can swap out bands if I want to. It comes with standard bands. This one has a bright, beautiful color display. That's my preference. You guys like the e-ink better.
Yeah,
this one is Android Wear, which is going to be the more popular platform in a year, so I'm going to have a lot more functionality going forward in a year than Pebble. And that's because it's going to work with lots of different things. I don't know about you, LaRosa, but I had a terrible time hooking it up to my Samsung Galaxy Note. It drained the battery on my Note so much quicker, the Pebble I mean, and the Pebble for me only lasted about 2 days. This I'm getting through a day and a half, so it's not a whole lot better. Now maybe they've gotten better recently.
Guys, really? That's it? 2.5 days?
What are you getting, LaRosa?
I'm getting about 4 or 5.
So you're doing better than I was. So, well, listen, I didn't want to go down this rabbit hole too long, but I just thought that was interesting. I'm going to be the hardware guy on this this show because I get the benefit of getting to play with a lot of different hardware. This is not one that I bought, but I wanted to show it off. This is a beautiful Android tablet. This is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S. It's the 8.4 version. This has the best screen you can buy on a tablet today. It's stunning. Now you're not going to be able to
How
tell.
long does the battery last?
How long does the battery last? I would say a good 10 to 12 hours, depending on your usage. So it's iPad level.
In 12 hours?
On Wi-Fi. That's all it has. I don't have the LTE version.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it's very good. The thing that stunned me about this thing was when I opened up the reviewer guide. They said, "Hey, play that video that we put on the tablet from the very beginning." And of course, they made it look beautiful on their tablet, but this thing, it looks 3D. You can't tell because of my low-resolution webcam, but this video,
the reflection off the surface is looking really good.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful display. I mean, I'm gushing because it's just so great. Now, I'm a Note user, and so I wish that I can't wait for the next Note to come out because I think it's going to have this screen. And It's also got the fingerprint reader, which is nowhere near as good as the iPhone 5S fingerprint reader, but it's nice to have. I can use it instead of tapping the keys to unlock it. Other than that, it's a basic Android tablet. If you like Android tablets, then you're going to be happy.
What are you running? KitKat on that?
Yes, it has the very latest KitKat, and since it's Samsung's latest tablet, I expect that I'll get an Android L update on this if I kept it. I don't get to keep it. It's Samsung's, but I would get to get that update probably sooner than any other Samsung tablet. That's still the bugaboo of Android. Is I gotta fix that. That's just ridiculous. I can download the iOS update the day it shows up, but Android, I'm lucky if I get it within a week if I've got a Nexus device. And
yeah, that's why I buy Nexus, because at least I know I'm going to get the update.
And if you want one with LTE built in, you'll be lucky if you get it by the end of the next year. That's absolutely ridiculous. Don't get the Samsung case. It's just a terrible case. I hate it. It has this function here. It's supposed to do the stand thing, but it's got these clamps that you...
Hold that up. I can't see where the clamps are.
Well, it's in here, and it connects into the back of the tablet. They've got I can't get it off now. Here we go. But you see these little dots there? One right there, one over here. Well, here's the case, these little little buttons. And so that's supposed to, be cool and all, but I hated it. I couldn't get the thing on it at first because I was afraid to press as hard as you have to press to get it on.
Connection tech from the 1990s.
I sent an email to my PR contact, and she said, "Now, were you pressing really hard?" And I was like, "Well, no, I didn't break your tablet." And so I pressed really hard, and it snapped in place. So don't waste your money on this. This is junk. Plus, it looks ugly. That color, they should have sent a nice color. But anyway, the tablet itself is, in my opinion, this is the best Android tablet you can buy right now in an 7 to 8 inch range. Better than the Nexus. I like the Nexus 7 a lot. I gave it to my son when I bought a Galaxy Note, but
hold the back up.
Hold what up?
Hold the back up.
The back. Yeah, it's got the Band-Aid back.
Well, no. Here's my question. I always wondered about this. Why, especially in the Samsung family, why does the camera bulge out the back like that?
The tablet's too thin. They want form more than function. And so, yeah, but it's not bad. I mean, it's not going to be that terrible.
It's one of the things I've always just wondered at, and it's Samsung's, that's their kind of back form factor, is to have that little dimple there for the camera.
Anyway, so I just wanted to show that off to you. And my last little bit of hardware, I'll save that for later. We're done. It's 11:20. We usually try to go an hour, so I think we're
way
done.
over. That's okay.
Yeah, let's just in a real quick minute go around the horn. Antoine, where can we find you? Do this in about 10 seconds.
You can find me at mobileministrymagazine.com when I do an update. Or you can find me on Twitter, ARJWRIGHT, or MobileMinMag. Or if you're in the Netherlands in October, I will be in The Hague keynoting a really cool telecom conference.
Wow, cool. All right. La Rosa, where can we get you, brother?
Yeah, you can find me at urbanscholar.com, so urban-scholar.com. You can find me on Twitter, Google+. No longer on Facebook. I actually deleted my Facebook account last week.
Congratulations. We're proud of you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other social media, you can find me there, and you can find me on like MyFitnessPal and Endomondo. Really trying to get into the fitness routine of late, so yeah, you can find me on those kind of social places.
All right, cool. And our good friend Wes, how about you?
You can find me at painfullyhopeful.me. It's my blog. I'll probably have an update, book review type thing going on up this week sometime. You can also find me on Twitter at Weslow, and on Flickr I'm Weslow or RevWes, if people want to go there and check out my Flickr photos.
That's W-E-Z in case people don't.
That is true. Yep.
All right, brother. Well, I am Kevin Purcell, and you can find me at K.A. Purcell on Twitter and plus Kevin Purcell on Google plus. And I don't advertise my Facebook because that's just for me and my family and friends. So, and going forward, come on over to Theotek.com. It's not really much right now, but hopefully it'll be something a little bit more. We're going to be doing this in 2 weeks, and hopefully with some a guest. We don't know who yet. I've put out invitations to a number of people, and every one of them said, "Are you on it?" And I said, "Yes," and they said that I'm not coming. So, it didn't quite work out. But thanks, guys. This is so much fun, and to all of you, our viewers, we really appreciate both of you sticking through all this way. All right, and we're done. Thank you, guys.
See you later.